welcome to Strength-Based Marketing. I'm Pat Dewar. I'm so excited you're here. I've got a coach, a business coach that I've been working with over the last few months that I thought, this guy's really has a clue on what businesses need to succeed. Paul Oehm and I have been working at a distance, and this whole, COVID thing, we're not just, we're really remote because you're in Canada, right?
Exactly.
Paul? Yeah. So yeah, we're even crossing borders here, international communication. So with that, I want to get right into your story. Paul, tell the audience a little bit more about how'd you get to where you're at?
Well, it started a long time ago, Pat. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, and I had that seed put into my butt as a small kid. And actual running my own companies at a full-time level started when I was 21 years old, 37 years ago. And it's just been my passion ever since. I've run and I've started a number of companies in completely different industries. And actually all those companies I started, I scaled, and I sold them. Not to, had a lot of success, but I've had probably every kick in the ass imaginable along the way. And that's what's kind of brought me to where I am at today, because I know what people go through in this whole entrepreneurial business journey, and that's how I can help them. And I've had a lot of fun, a lot of success, a lot of kicks in the butt along the way, and have quite a network and experience in a vast number of industries. So
tell me a little bit about some of the businesses you started and their process going from whether you're a startup to actually transitioning out of it where you sold it. That's a really big deal for a lot of people. A lot of people, they'd love to be able to do that, but they don't know how, they don't know what to do, but you have done it successfully a few times. I'm just curious, talk a little bit about that.
Every business I've sold's been a little different reason. So my first company was actually a feed and grain company, which I got that bred into me. My father was a farmer, and he had a hardware store and a feed business, and I grew up side by side. And that's one thing I'll give a lot of credit is to my father. He taught me work ethic and responsibility from a young age. And then I've been able to carry that forward. So he sold his farm, he sold his feed business hardware store when I was a teenager before I had finished school. So I actually only had one job in my life when I got out of college, which I went to college for a couple of years for an ag business management. I got hired by a large feed and grain company. They had a feed mill, fertilizer plant, crop inputs, all that type of thing. And I lasted there 10 months. I went through 3 managers at the time, and they fired all 3. And when they fired the third one, they actually offered me the manager's position at 20 years old of this multi-million-dollar huge grain thing. I was their top salesman in no time out of I don't know how many salesmen, and they had about 8 or 10 branches. Anyway, I said, if I'm going to work that hard, I'm going to do it myself. And that's all I knew, is kind of the feed and grain industry. So I started that. I scaled in the 80s when I was paying on all borrowed money 18% interest. Farmers were going broke left, right, and center because of the interest rates and the tough times at that time. In no time, in about 3-4 years, I grew it to a $3-4 million company in the 80s. Very, very low margins type of business, and a lot of borrowed money. And I woke up one day, major kick in the ass. One of my main suppliers, their sales rep turned into a competitor of mine. And I woke up about 2 weeks later, and one of my largest clients went bankrupt and took me for over $70,000 bucks. And the bank called me up and says, "We don't want to lend you money anymore." Even though it was a lot of borrowed money, it wasn't fun. And in the meantime, I had started 2 other companies. I started a road construction company and a parts distribution company. So I actually had 3 businesses on the go. So I actually sold the feed business because I still had quite a large client base to a neighboring feed dealer. So that's how I sold the first business. And I actually helped him to transition that give me enough cash flow to maintain those other 2 businesses and grow those. So I could go into lots of stories about the other companies, how I sold them if you'd like, but it's you always got to turn lemons into lemonade, right? So.
Well, it's that out of box thinking. It's when you've got something that would be a destroying blow for a lot of people. Bank won't lend you money. Biggest, ally bankrupt overnight. It's not like we haven't seen any of that lately. But to shift and say, you know what, at least I had the forethought to begin to diversify a little bit so that I had some options to springboard off on. And I'm real curious, when you think about the clients that you work for, okay, and that you work for, I want to know, what are some of the results that you're helping them achieve? In other words, what are you doing to create the success they're having when someone works with you?
So the biggest thing, I have a superpower, and I'm going to brag a little bit here. I can look at a business and I can see the issues and I can see the opportunities, probably long before the business owner themselves. Just by looking at their business, if I get involved working with them with a questionnaire and looking at their financials, I have a real look under the hood. But people get complacent, they get the blinders on, they're so used to doing the same thing day after day. And as you know, it's not a rosy walk in the park in most businesses. They all have challenges, and a lot of businesses, to deal with some issues that they're dealing with or want to grow, they really don't know how to do that. So the end results that I do with my clients is get their business systems built into their business, because that's how you can sell a company. And that's how I've been able to sell my companies, because it's not Paul's business, it's systems within the business that the next person can operate. And that's one of the biggest challenges that business owners have today. They're so tied to Patrick or Paul or Mary, and everything's in their head. So the next person, I always say to people, can you leave for a month's holidays, or if you got sick in the hospital for a month without a telephone, without internet, without email, how would your business survive? Would it continue to maintain and grow, or would it fall apart? So that's the number one thing that I try to do for my clients. But examples, I have all kinds of examples with clients. One, for instance, a contracting company. Started working with him a year ago. Great business, 7-figure business, making a decent profit. 35-year-old company. This particular guy bought it 5 years ago, but he wanted to grow. Everything was old school, paper, COVID hit, no marketing plan. He'd sponsored the little Susie's soccer teams. That's literally, it was his marketing plan in the past, right? Very stagnant sales, but profitable year after year. So I looked at a year ago, so we started setting systems up, and I said, this is a digital play. We need to be running Google ads, Facebook ads, getting a new website, tracking quotes, being on top of this thing in the digital world. Looking last year, so last year was the first year we grew, sales literally grew 50% from a little over $1 million to 1.5 million. Profit in that business went from about 200,000. So a good little business. Guy was making a couple $100,000 a year to making $500,000 last year. Because fixed overhead, we kept it basically the same. We grew good gross margin. Fast forward to this year, we're going to be well over double what it was in 2019, and we're going to hit a 7-figure profit this year. We're putting systems in place. He knows what's going on. His employees are running the thing. We're doing it digitally, so we know our return on our investment. Those are the kind of things I like to do. I can tell you stories all day long.
Well, I do want to know. I want to know another example of one where I just want you to tell me what were the challenges of the company and what kind of results were they able to achieve working with you.
So I can tell you so many stories. Which one do I want to pick? So another company. I've been on with them about 15 months now. And the company was, again, a 7-figure company, service-based company, hadn't made money. They've been operating for 10 years. Great company. Looking on the outside in, they do great work, very professional, but the business was literally making no money. They made $20,000 in 2 years. The poor person running the business couldn't put her payroll on direct deposit because she'd have to ask half the employees to hold their paycheck for a few days or a week because they bounced. Cash flow sucked. So I went in and looked at it. It was basically, again, a systems problem, a billing problem within the business. They had no systems, and they were trying to remember at the end of the month what they did all month to write the bills out. So they're missing half the bills. Like, this is real world stuff that goes on, right? I've done a lot of things since, but fast forward last business year, we grew even through COVID, and COVID knocked the hell out of them for a couple months. We went from 1.2, 1.3 million in sales. We finished the year, I think, 1.8 million. We made almost a $350,000 profit. Their year end was the end of January. This first quarter, they just finished off the quarter. Don't have the actual numbers, but I know sales wise, we're about $750,000 this year in our first 3 months. And we are going to be at over almost a $400,000 profit on those sales this year already in 3 months.
That's excellent. So
have changed their life. Now they've given their employees benefits, direct payroll. Now our problem is, because we don't need assets in that business, it's a service-based, what are we going to do with this cash? Because there wasn't much debt load within the business. It's changing their life. And one other quick little story, if you don't mind. I had a little single man, one employee, service-based business again. The guy was an arborist, cuts trees, ready to give up last May. His buddy actually called me and says, you need to help this guy. And looked at it again. He had a piece of paper trying to run his business. People would call him to come cut trees. He couldn't remember who. He'd drop it on a piece of paper. He'd go cut their trees, had no system to bill anything, wasn't billing half his amount, didn't make $30,000 a year. He said, I'm going to go get a job. I'm done with this. It's driving me crazy. I looked at it, created a quoting system with some software that cost him next to nothing. So somebody needed their tree cut. It went into there. So he had a list of who he quoted, so he can go and quote them. When he went and did the job, then he could bill it, integrated with an accounting system with QuickBooks. End result, last year he did over 100,000 in sales, 100 and some thousand, and he made $83,000 profit from ready to give up and quitting, and never made over 30 grand ever pulling his hair out.
Then he had to get tax help, which
no, he's got to pay tax, right? So, but I have this ability to X-ray look into their business and just see what the issues and simplify it for them to fix it and help them grow. And I don't tell them what they need to do. And there's no right or wrong answer. Do you want to make a living out of this business? Do you want to turn it into a real business and make a real profit? And what's your end goal and game, right? At the other end, do you want to sell it? Do you want to transition it to family or bring a partner in, an employee, whatever you want to do? I don't tell people, I just help them make their dreams a reality.
Yeah. Back when I used to work with Zig Ziglar, he said, help enough other people get where they want to go. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's my Pat Dewar interpretive of what Zig was saying. But I love that. It's serving those. So I'm real curious, who's your ideal client? Who should be reaching out to you?
Somebody that is number one thing, and I find this is the biggest challenge with bringing clients on, is they got to leave their ego at the door. Somebody that's open-minded, that is willing to make changes and take the action to do it. I'm not a cheerleader. I say it the way it is. I had a call this morning with a new client, our first real call, and I just point blank told her, your accounting sucks. Her sister's doing her books. She doesn't know what you're doing. You need to do this. We need to get a marketing plan going. I need access to your website, your Google Analytics. You got to start some Google ads. She's sitting in her store praying people come in. That ain't going to work anymore. I tell them the way it is without, and I'm not a cheerleader, and I'll beat them. So anyway, the ideal client is somebody that's open-minded, that wants to achieve something different than they're doing today. And I will help them do that.
I like to say, what do we get paid for? Results or ego?
Yeah. I have a thing on my website, big sales make big egos, profits feed families. And that's at the end of the day, what I try to do. Everybody talks about sales and marketing and $1 million sales, $10 million sales, $50 million sales. What does it matter if you're driving yourself crazy and you're not making any money and you can't pay your bills and the bill collectors are at the door, or you're working 80 hours a week, driving yourself crazy? What good is that? It's about profit and efficiencies and having a bit of a life balance if you want.
Are there some guidelines, like if somebody that is, you know, how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in revenue or employee base, or, I mean,
Yeah,
give me some parameters here, or tell me a story of kind of your best client ever that you go, if I had 100 of those or 20 of those, I'd be a gazillionaire.
I mostly deal with, there's a difference between a product-based business and a service-based business. So if you want to talk at a product-based business, generally I look for clients minimum of $500,000 a year in sales. So they got a proof of concept, they got some cash flow, they see some value. Hopefully they're making a few dollars. If not, we can fix that real quick. But generally most of my client base in a inventory-based business is $500,000 to probably $5 million a year. And I have some of those $1 million, $2 million, $3 million companies that are on a large rise to that $4, $5, $10 million in sales too. Service-based, 100, 200,000. And I have service-based companies that are coming in at $1 million, $2 million too. My whole passion is to help people that want to help themselves. It's the old story goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So if they're willing to make the changes, to let their ego at the door, they want to improve things and be open to my changes and to work with me, those are my ideal clients. I don't care if it's a service or a product-based business. To me, business is business. You change the marketing for the widget because it's a different client providing that service or product to them for the sales side of the game. Business, accounting is accounting, P&Ls and balance sheets, it doesn't matter. They don't care what kind of business you're in. A balance sheet's a balance sheet, a P&L is a P&L.
Are there some questions people should ask themselves that can point them in the direction of identifying some of their challenges? Some people go, I just don't have any more, I don't have any more money at the end of the month. Okay. And I go, okay, that's just a symptom. What's a question or a couple of questions somebody can ask that changes the view to where they can begin to see some of the issues where they need help? Because people don't wake up and go, I need a coach. They go, I got a problem. And so if you're part of the solution, what are some things that any business owner could ask themselves that might illustrate they need some help?
So the first thing I do when I talk to somebody, if they want to come to me and think I'm possibly the person to help them, is it's a simple, back to that higher or low level thing. What's keeping them up at night? What's waking you up at 2 a.m, why you can't get to sleep? What's that problem? And then finding the root cause. And business is numbers, business is dollars. Again, I don't care what business you're in. If it's your business, my business, Walmart or Fred's chiropractic business down the street, it comes down to financials. So the first thing I have to do is look at the numbers. And that's one of the biggest problems is people in business don't understand their numbers. So I have a program I call the Business Profit Optimizer when I bring somebody into my business. So I tear apart their financials so I can see in 2 seconds what the issues are financially. If it's a gross margin, if it's a sales, if it's a debt thing, if it's a receivable problem, gross margin, whatever, right? And then I give them a 117 question questionnaire of get in their head, where are they, where do they want to take this thing? A lot of people don't know. And that's one of the biggest things to start. Why did they forget why they even started the business? And they get so busy doing all this running around, like, where do you want to take this thing? So that's a real reality check for them. Back to that deeper thing. Okay, you're here, you want to go to there. And there's no right or wrong answer, as I said before. Okay, then what are the steps I can help identify? Is it a sales problem? Is it a margin thing? And it's back to a lot of times, we won't maybe even change margins a lot, like my arborist guy. We really didn't change his sales levels, but he billed everything that he did, right? And we fixed the profit problem. He just billed it, right? In other cases, and that is so common. And people don't even realize it. They do all this work. I had another one last week. He's still got, I've been on him. He dug into, he's got some cash flow issues. Well, he's so busy working in the back room, he doesn't bill anything out. So I've got him, he's billed about 50,000 of past things. And I said to him last week, where he at? He said, I probably still have another $40,000 or $50,000 of the stuff to bill out. That's within the last year. So now I've created a system. Every job that comes in, there's a quote created. If they accept it, we create a work order to do the work, and then nothing goes out the door until there's an invoice and it's paid, period. He's so busy, he's so good, it's changing his life. And he hadn't raised his prices in 9 years. So he had a cash flow problem. That's why he came to me.
Wow.
I identified like 5 problems. A, you're not billing. B, you're not charging enough. B, C, you don't have a system to even know what workload you have, and then bill the bloody stuff out before you send it out the door, and you should get paid for your service. They have a visa. They can bloody well pay you before it goes out the door.
So I heard that 117 questions, and I thought that's 4 hours of work. And I imagine some of the listeners and viewers might think this. You have an abbreviated form that just says, look, if you answer these 10 questions and you can't see that you've got issues.
Well, generally when I have that conversation before I even decide if they're a BPO client, I make them feel the pain. They know they got issues. And you know what? If it's back to taking a horse to water, if they're going to drink, if they can't take that questionnaire, there's 117 questions, not 170. It takes on average 1 to 2 hours to fill it out. They're not paragraphs, they're just simple things. And if they can't commit to 2 hours to fix a business that they've been running for sometimes many, many years, then they're not my ideal client. Sorry, I'm not a cheerleader. I'll look at your financials. You got to give me your financials, whatever shape they're in. And some people are so embarrassed because their finances are in shambles. I don't care. That tells me one thing that we got to fix, because you don't know where your numbers are at, right? And it doesn't take long. So they need to commit to that short period of time to look under the hood. You can't fix a car if you don't hook it up to the computer and see what's wrong with it. The same thing. I can't fix your business unless I hook it into the computer and see what error codes I'm getting.
So what I'm hearing is that you love to work with people that are going to take action. I mean, action takers, not folks that just want, just kind of information and give me a hug and whatever. Hey, you're actually going, look, if you're going to get off your butt and you want to create massive change, I can help you. Otherwise, I'm not your guy.
Yes.
And so that's fine. How do people get a hold of you?
So it's simple. I have a website to find that. It's thebizcoachacademy.com. My email is paul@thebizcoachacademy.com. LinkedIn, my profile is on LinkedIn, Paul Oehm. My last name is spelled Oehm. I have a Facebook page. And it's actually funny when we say this. I put very few posts. Some people, these coaches, because they're trying to find business. I'm almost at the point, it's literally almost word of mouth. I'm working with you, but getting clients isn't an issue because of the results I'm getting in the word of mouth. But back to my story, I did a rant yesterday on Facebook. I got ticked off, and Catherine said, you're being too aggressive. My daughter, as soon as she seen it, she texted, Dad, you're aggressive this morning. But I get so tired of these gurus online that have 2 ounces of success. So I seen a post yesterday morning by somebody that I know, and I knew this post was total BS of what they can do. And I'm the expert and buy my thing and blah, 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 blah. I can help someone. And I knew it was just total crap. So I did a little post on my business page of just calling those people out. Didn't say anything about me. I said, it's good. And you should invest money into coaching, advisory, mentors, but check the people out and that they're legit and they'll give you the answers. Not they have some slick marketing and 2 seconds of success, because I've been at this game full time for 37 years. It's my passion now to help people. And I've had every kick in the ass. I've had a ton of success. I've had well over $100 million in sales and sold 5 companies to neighboring dealers to private equity firms. I know what it takes and I know what people are dealing with every day. and I know what it takes to fix a lot of the situations. And there's no bullshit. You know, I say it the way it is, and I help people, and there's no slick marketing. You're not going to see a lot of fancy ads from me, but LinkedIn, my Facebook page, the Biz Coach Academy, my website. On my website, you can book a call. I'll talk to anybody. You can book a half-hour free call. I'm not on there trying to sell you anything. It's a fit. If I can give you some answers, if I can help you, I'll give you that and a solution. If you think my program, and if you think I'm a right fit for you, and I have to feel that you're a right fit for me, I want to take action. And there hasn't been a business, literally, that even a small one that I haven't found 50, 100,000 bucks. And I'm now getting 7-figure results for my clients.
It's great. And yeah, folks, it's actually on the screen. Paul Oehm, thebizcoachacademy.com. It's right at the bottom. Well, I got it on the left side. It should be the same thing on your screen, but you can see it right there. Paul Oehm, the Biz Coach Academy. And so they'll reach out to you, they set up time, you talk to them, and then if it's a good fit, great. If not, great. Folks, Paul Oehm has been somebody that I think is really on the ball. He's created great results for his clientele. I love to be around people that create great results. And so, Paul, as we close the show, any closing words that you have for people, encourage them to take action, really grow the business they want.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, Patrick, for allowing me to be here. But the biggest thing, you know what, let your ego down. There is answers. If you are facing challenges, facing issues, trying to take your business to a level that you don't know how to get there, you have to get the right help. And the first thing is talking to somebody like me or somebody like me that can really help you, and open the hood, be honest, be transparent. You know, we're not here to judge you. We're here to help you. And that's what I don't judge any of my clients. And I get into some major friggin' messes, let me tell you. And I don't judge anybody. And that's probably one of the biggest holdbacks in some of my clients. It took them months to finally say, yes, I need some help. I'll open the hood, let you have a look. That's the only way you can diagnose the problem and fix it. Put your ego down, ask for help.
Outstanding. Folks, again, great business coach. I really encourage you to connect with Paul Oehm at thebizcoachacademy.com. I'm Pat Dewar. This is the Business Spotlight, is sponsoring, I suppose, Strength-Based Marketing podcast. Thank you so much. I encourage you. Hey, if you like the show, make sure you're ringing the bell down below on YouTube so that you get notifications in the future of other shows that I do. So with that, I'll see you